At 22 years old, RJ Barrett is currently playing in his 4th NBA season, and coming into this year, the New York Knicks seemed pretty happy with how RJ's game was developing by giving him a 4-year contract extension and counting on him to be one of the centerpieces for this franchise in the years to come. So in this video, we're going to look at Barrett's game today to see how good he currently is and what he needs to improve on. When we look at the film, I think Barrett's biggest strength is easily his physical tools. RJ is listed at 6'6", 215 pounds, but he's for sure put on more size as the years have gone by, while maintaining his quickness. His combination of strength and mobility makes him a really good straight line driver, being able to absorb bumps on the perimeter and fight through contact while playing downhill to keep his driving line. While Barrett does heavily rely on his left when he's attacking, he can finish pretty effectively with both hands when he gets in the deep paint. This play here is pretty crafty, where RJ is coming downhill going left, and notice when he gathers how his left foot is going to land slightly before his right, which allows him to change his momentum as he elevates, to drift past the big for the righty layup. This is also a nice move by RJ, where he's attacking off this screen, and you'll notice how this defender is deep in gap. So Barrett's going to pick up the ball off his right foot and gather it over the defense to stride into the finish. But a majority of Barrett's attacks from what I see are pretty straightforward. He's just simply looking to get downhill going left, then use his size and strength to finish. And I think this is an area of improvement for RJ, because right now, he doesn't have the most creative or dynamic game off the dribble, and it's pretty easy to tell that he's always coming back left with every move, which makes him predictable and easy to guard one-on-one. If a team wants to effectively guard RJ, all they need is a player who can slide his feet and match up with Barrett's physicality, and they're pretty much good. While RJ for sure has some improvement to do when playing in isolation, I do think he has improved a lot in pick and roll. He's developed really good pace over the years, having a good feel of staying patient and using his body while probing off picks. Barrett loves to come off screens going right, then use his physicality to veer or snake it back to his dominant left hand. You'll see Barrett again come off this screen going right, and watch how he veers back into the defense to create an angle for his left hand floater. And RJ's ability to play with pace opens up windows for him to play make, being able to simply pull defenders into his orbit and make the simple read. I really like this play, where RJ comes off this screen and hesitates, then aggressively explodes downhill, which pulls this big towards him and opens up the lob at the rim. However, while Barrett's basketball feel is developing nicely, he does need to work on his actual skill of delivering passes. For example, one thing he likes to do is aggressively drive to his left and pull the big man away from the rim, which opens up the wraparound pass to his teammate. But when we look at him in a similar situation going right, you can tell he's not as comfortable making that same play with his offhand, and instead he settles for this tough runner. Then here, RJ does a good job of putting his man in jail and pulling the drop big towards him. From this spot, it should be a right hand lob to the roll man, but Barrett tries to make that pass with his inside left hand, which allows the defense to make a play on the ball. But I think this all comes back to RJ lacking the ability to both attack and make plays going right. And again, he's playing in his 4th NBA season, and I feel like this is something that should be addressed by now. Now let's move on to RJ's outside scoring, and I think Barrett has the physical tools and skill to maybe one day become a consistent mid-range scorer. He has the physicality to maneuver his way to spots, and he has a pretty high release point on his jumper. If Barrett can get some space against mismatches, he also has some different step backs in his game. But there's two things that's really holding RJ back from becoming an effective in-between scorer. First, he's just not an accurate shooter. Barrett is currently shooting below 38% on all his mid-range jumpers. And when we watch the film, a lot of the shots he gets are in rhythm and open, but he just doesn't knock them down. And then second, Barrett also lacks the feel of being able to read and make the right decisions from these spots. Because when we look at any great mid-range scorer like KD, DeRozan, and many other guys, of course they all can make tough shots, but they also have that sixth sense of being able to read the floor and find the open spots. And I don't think RJ has that right now. Take this play for example. RJ is going to catch and attack Horford closing out, and notice how Al's hips completely rotate, trying to get back in position. For Barrett, this is the perfect time to stop on a dime, to create separation, but instead, he plants off his right and steps back going left, which creates no space against Horford and puts him right next to Brown and help side. Now I don't think Barrett is going to ever be a high volume or efficient mid-range scorer, but if the Knicks want him to be an elite shot creator like he was drafted to be, this is an area he needs to improve. Now when we look at RJ's game behind the three, he's still not a very accurate shooter, making under 33% of his threes this season. When we look closer at Barrett's jumper, I personally think his mechanics for the most part are pretty solid. He always has a good base, and his hand placement on the ball is solid. However, if I had to nitpick his jumper, I would say his lift path is a little off. Notice when he gathers into his shot, how he brings the ball up, then slightly back down into his set point, as his body is elevating. That small hitch may seem minor, but I think it really affects his shot the further he gets from the basket. And it's why he can go from shooting a perfect swish, to then completely ricocheting one off the glass. Barrett right now is shooting a decent 34% on all his shots off the catch, but he drops down to under 29% on all his jumpers off the dribble, and I think that all goes back to his mechanics not being super sturdy. Typically when you're shooting off the dribble, you're going to be heavily contested and off balance, and the players who are elite at hitting those type of difficult shots always have picture perfect mechanics, and RJ's currently not there yet. While Barrett does have a lot to improve on offensively, I do think his defense, however, has really improved recently, and it's had a massive effect on the Knicks' success over the last few weeks. RJ overall is a pretty versatile defender. He can pick up point guards well beyond the three, he has the size to hold his own down low, while having the mobility to navigate through screens. RJ also has really good feet when defending in isolation. If he gets himself out of position, he has the speed and coordination to work his way back in front of the ball. On this play, you'll see Derek White slightly get the outside angle on Barrett, and notice how RJ rotates his hips as he runs to beat Derek to the spot. Along with that mobility, Barrett also has really good size and length, which allows him to alter shots on the perimeter, as well as at the rim. Now of course RJ isn't a perfect on-ball defender. There are times he gets broken down off the dribble, or baited into fouls, but Knicks fans should still be really happy with his overall growth. When we look at RJ's defense off the ball, I think this is where his biggest strength is. Now I haven't watched every single Knicks game this season, but with the ones I have, I came away really impressed with his overall anticipation and court awareness. Barrett off the ball does the simple things right, constantly knowing where both his man and the ball is, while predicting his next rotation. On this play, watch how this big is going to slip, and RJ rotates from the weak side and meets him on the catch, which takes away the layup and allows New York to get matched back up. When you pair that awareness, along with Barrett's length and mobility, it makes him a really good help side defender, being able to sit in gap and recover back out to contest shots. Which is actually a big deal for modern defenses, because 3-point shooting across the league is all the way up, and the average team shoots over 40% on wide open threes, but that number drops to under 35% on contested threes. So simply put, RJ's ability to rotate out and use his length to contest shots is really important for the Knicks. Barrett also mucks up his fair share of plays and draws plenty of turnovers. When this play starts, you'll see Tatum working off this Williams screen, and when Jason snaps a pocket pass, you'll see RJ again, ready to meet him on the catch, and he's able to stop the drive and anticipate the corner pass. While I do think Barrett has a lot to improve on offensively, I still think he's a solid piece to have alongside Randle and Brunson. If Barrett can keep that same defensive focus when the playoffs start, I think he'll surprise a lot of New York fans. If you enjoyed the video, please like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments who the kid should break down next. The kid's here.